So let me just thank the organizers, the CEC leadership, parent leadership for putting this together. You're standing up and fighting for 1.1 million children. And the average parent does not have hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to hire publicity firms in order to do their bidding. So I'm so proud of all of you that we must stand united to fight. And as someone, as a former chair of the Education Committee, I'm so happy that Danny Drum, that Mayor Bloomberg, that Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, that we have a new leadership in the city of New York. Someone that is going to engage parent leadership and not throw them aside. So I'm so happy to be here, listening to all of you speak, knowing that I'm going to stay involved in the education of our children. There are several lawsuits that are still pending.
That's right.
Michael Rebell has filed a statewide lawsuit because the funding has not been what it should be. So the fight continues, the struggle goes on, and through your leadership and working together, we shall be successful. Thank you very much.
Can everyone hear me? Just a little quick background about myself. I am one of the children of the United Bronx Parents. I don't know if some of you have heard about it. I am very much against charter schools, and I'll tell you why. I feel that all that glitters is not gold. I am a product of public education. When I was a child, 6 years old, as far back as I can remember, I remember sleeping in libraries with my mother and a bunch of other Latino women, African-American women who were protesting. So all of this stuff that we're going through now, it's only coming back around. We've all been through this before. But as far as charter schools versus public schools, having charter schools and public schools is like having two children and you make a decision, okay, I'm going to give this one more and leave these behind. If I grew up, and I'm from Potomac Park. I come from Charlotte Street. I don't know if you remember Jimmy Carter when he came to Charlotte Street. Those kids that they took pictures of, I was one of those children. So it does not mean that we're coming out of public schools and coming from the worst neighborhood in the United States. They declared our community a disaster zone in 1977. I'm a product of that community. So I always, and I will always fight for public schools education, because now that I'm seeing this whole thing turn around with these students and the charter schools, it's not a fair situation. Not only that, these children that are in those schools, they are already gifted children. They are not taking the children who are special education students or special needs. And if they do, they take those same children and they target them until the parents decide, you know what, I can't take this anymore, let me take my kids out. And if you look at the numbers, the majority of those children who they target, they always happen to be black males or black children. The other thing that I wanted to stress and bring to everyone's attention is that the teachers that are coming into these schools, they're 25 years old, 22 years old. They're not qualified teachers. They're not even qualified for life. They're coming in from out of college, coming out of their homes, and coming in, getting these high-paying jobs, making these decisions on the lives of these children when they are not professionally prepared, they are not socially prepared for our children. The majority of them do not come from New York State. They come from Massachusetts. They come through Teach America or different programs. They are not our children that are coming back into our communities and teaching our children. So here we go again, back from the 70s, we're going back to the same thing. And if you look at the boards of some of these the schools, especially Democracy Prep, the people who are on these boards, they're real estate developers. Yeah, that should give you another light where this is all coming from. It's all about dollars. It's all about real estate. Schools move real estate. But at the same time, when you look at the charter schools versus the public education, which group of children do you think are going to come back into those same communities and make a difference? The ones who get out, or the ones who stay and try to make it work? All that glitters is not gold. Charter schools is not all of that. I promise you. I'm speaking as a parent. I'm speaking as an educator. I'm speaking as an advocate. And I'm speaking as someone who, from the age of 7, been through all of this. My mother raised me in this type of situations where we fought. And I will continue to fight. School Education is my passion, and I'm not going to sit back and let everyone think that charter schools is the great answer. It is not the great answer.
They should be putting the services that they provide to English language learners and kids with IEPs on the brochures. There is a fine print and no one's reading it until they're forced to leave the school and there's no one to turn to. And I think that's these are tax dollars, and that needs to be discussed regularly. They're not just accountable to the kids who attend that school, they're accountable to all of us, and they've been sidestepping that accountability, and they've been allowed to by the governor. And let's not forget this, we are in a democratic nation. There is no reason why privatized board of directors are able to ignore the public in their use of tax dollars. I also want to talk about the way that charter schools are authorized, which is frequently not discussed, and it's irrespective of city planning, meaning a school that has no need for another elementary school is given 5. You know, a school that has no need for another middle school is given 6. I mean, it's done to close down, to cut into the enrollment of the neighborhood public schools and shut them down. And without city planning, we're also doing a profound disservice. And SUNY has made it clear that that's not part of their rubric for approving schools, which means that when we have a school like Citizens of the World that says their targets explicitly are 55% white people, what impact does that have in enrollment in the neighborhood? You know, what impact does it say if we're going to market exclusively to one community because we want diverse charter schools? What is the impact in a gentrifying community that's trying to build faith in the neighborhood public schools around them? You know, these are all really serious issues that have been taken off the table. Desegregation has been taken off the table. Small class size has been taken off the table. Arts and sports in our schools has been taken off the table in favor of high-quality charter schools that are suspending our children in unprecedented numbers, and we can't even find out about it. So yeah.
Okay, we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna ask former council member Robert Jackson to say a few words, and then Noah's gonna have some closing remarks.
Be left for them, and they should be able to get the buildings. We have adults there that are parents that are learning so that they can be equipped to help their children. And so how can we do that if they're going to put children in there, and if something happens to them, we don't know the people that are coming into the building. If something happens to those children, it will not be fair to the children nor to us. Right. So we want equal rights for them and us.
Woo! Thank you. Okay, we have to get into the hearing, so Noah's going to wrap it up for us.
Again, what you're hearing is parents, public school parents, 1.5 million strong, are standing up and saying, this isn't okay. We need to be focusing on our public schools. We need to be focusing on all students, not just a small sliver. We need to be advantaging all of our students. And we need to be watching and being oversight about what goes on in our buildings, what goes on in terms of co-locations, what goes on in terms of funding, what goes on in terms of culture. That is the message. The message also is that Governor Cuomo, we will not be silent in the face of a giveaway of our public schools to the charter school lobby. We will not be silent as our public schools are drained of dollars and resources. And we will not be silent as the corporations take over our public schools and insert high-stakes testing. They insert charter schools. They privatize our resources. We will not be silent. The parents will speak up. We are going in. It's a new day. We are going into this hearing, and some of the testimony you're going to hear is pretty shocking. But what is actually happening inside our public schools? There has been no transparency. There has been no accountability in terms of the charter co-locations. Hopefully, this is a start. We invite you all inside. Thank you for being here. And any of these parents who are experiencing this on the ground are available to speak with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.